Well, hello and welcome to Queen Victoria. Yes, we have now got on board our third Cunard ship.
We're sailing over New Year's Eve, visiting Zeebrugge in Belgium and Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
Now let's rewind right back to the start of the day when we'll tell you exactly how we got on, and stick around until the end to find out why tonight's entertainment was a hit and a miss.
So we drove down from home the night before the cruise.
Now on our way to our hotel we did receive an email to say that our embarkation would be delayed by 2 hours. This was due to the fact that the ship was going to have a deep clean due to an outbreak of a virus happened on the previous cruise.
We had been scheduled an embarkation time of 1 o'clock. Cunard give you an embarkation time around about 2 weeks before the start of your cruise. We were a little bit disappointed because we thought, yeah, we'll get on 1 o'clock, no problems at all. We'll be able to have a quick tour of the ship, do our cabin tour, and yeah, that wasn't the best of starts. In addition to that, we got another email as we were driving down, but this time informing us that we're going to have a change to our itinerary, and instead of being in Amsterdam for New Year's Eve, we'd now be leaving on the 31st of January to have our New Year's celebrations at sea.
Yeah, so we are a little bit disappointed, but we will see how we get on and we'll definitely make the most of this cruise. Now we stayed overnight at the Travel Lodge. We stayed just outside of Southampton, actually on the A34 at Tot Hill. That meant the Travel Lodge actually only cost us £20 for the night, so that was a bargain.
So we left our Travelodge at around about 11:30 and then drove straight to the QE2 terminal, because even though we couldn't embark the ship, we just wanted to get rid of our luggage. Fortunately, Cunard do allow you to drop off your baggage, so we headed straight to the QE2 terminal. No problems at all, straight through. There were plenty of staff waiting there to collect bags. A couple of members of staff did stop us and just asked us if we'd received the email, to which we replied, yes, we know it's delayed and so forth. But then, after we dropped our bags off, Tom then just asked one of the port staff what time they were expecting to get passengers on board, and she told us it should be around about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And we were a little bit shocked by that.
Yeah, she recommended for us to come back at around 1 o'clock. So that's exactly what we did. We drove our car to the car park in West Quay, where we always park on these short cruises, got onto the free shuttle bus that is operating today between the QE2 terminal and West Quay, which was ideal for us because just as we got to West Quay there was a bus leaving. So that meant we actually arrived back at the QE2 terminal for 1 PM as recommended.
The shuttle buses were put in operation because of the delayed departure by Cunard, which we think was fantastic, because many people had already made their transport arrangements, and if they got to the terminal and then they found out that their embarkation time was delayed by 2 hours, at least they could get on the shuttle bus, have a wander around Southampton, and then be bussed back to the port.
When we arrived at the QE2 terminal, we found out that there was hardly any other passengers in the terminal at all, and that meant we could get to check-in within seconds.
Checked us in, took our photographs, and then we were straight through to security again, because there was hardly anybody about. From arriving at the QE2 terminal at 1 o'clock to stepping on board Queen Victoria took around 15 minutes.
Yeah, very, very quick, and we were wowed as we walked onto the ship. Now, it was quite an unusual way to get onto the ship because we walked across the air bridge as normal and then onto the promenade deck. We made our way along the promenade deck and then headed into the ship itself, and we did actually enter in the main atrium. The butlers were there waiting for the grill passengers, and we did spot a couple of the bellboys, but because the weather isn't so great today in Southampton, they did have their coats on until I spotted one without, and I did ask him for a photo and he quite kindly obliged.
As we walked through the atrium, it was beautiful, still decorated for Christmas. There was a pianist playing, everybody was happy and jovial. It was a great experience. We took the opportunity to have a couple of photos in the atrium because it was really quiet.
For those of you new to cruise or haven't cruised with Cunard before, the first thing they ask you to do once you're on board is head to your muster station. That is exactly what we did. We were muster station D. We got there, had our boarding passes scanned, and then we decided to head straight to our cabin. Now, our cabins might not have been ready because they did say there could have been a delay, but we thought we'd give it a go. Once we reached our cabin, we noticed our luggage was already outside. We couldn't believe it's such speedy service today. Outside the cabin was also our cruise cards waiting. So we opened that envelope, found our cruise cards and headed in.
We've booked ourselves a standard Britannia balcony up on deck A, and yeah, we're really impressed with it so far. Plenty of space, a good sized balcony. Yes, it's a little bit dated in places, however, it's very comfortable. We've put together a full tour and review, and I'll put a link on screen and in the description so you can have a look for yourself.
We'd be really interested to hear your feedback on that because the shower in the cabin is quite unusual, and we'd be interested to hear what you think. After we'd quickly headed into our cabin, took a look around and then thought, actually we are quite hungry. Now as it was about 1:30, we thought we'd take advantage of this very quiet ship and head straight to lunch. Now if you've seen any of our other Cunard vlogs, you know that we do like to go to the Golden Lion on embarkation day. We did this on Queen Anne, so we thought why not keep with tradition and head to the Golden Lion.
Again, it was really quiet in there. We managed to get a seat. Unfortunately, there are a number of restrictions still in place on board because of the viral outbreak on the previous cruise. So there are no menus out on the tables ready. You do have to request these. So we found ourselves a little seat. A member of staff came over. We asked for the menu. We did ask if they had any specials because on Queen Anne, we know that in the Golden Lion you can get a daily special. And unfortunately today he said no, just fish and chips.
Yeah, no specials today.
In addition to the lack of specials, the menu has now changed and it's very similar to that of Queen Anne, with a number of dishes that are now available at an additional charge.
So yeah, that menu is a little bit more limited, and those of you who are fans of the chicken tikka on board, which I know there is quite a few, you will be sorely disappointed because that looks like it is no longer available.
It's gone.
Now for my choice of meal, I went for the fish and chips as I did last time on Queen Anne, so I thought I'd test out the difference, and there isn't any.
Yeah.
They are very similar, but I tell you what, the portions are quite small, but the fish was super tasty.
And I went for the ploughman's, and it came with a huge wedge of bread, a slice of ham, some pickled onions and gherkins, a little bit of pickle and piccalilli, as well as something else with mustard seeds that I just really didn't recognise. It was nice, it was pleasant, and I enjoyed it.
And also while we're having our meal, we did order 2 drinks. I went for the Queen Anne gin and tonic, and you went for the Queen Victoria gin and tonic. Now I prefer Anne's gin and you prefer Victoria's.
It's a little bit more zesty and fruity. I do like it. Fortunately for this cruise, we have treated ourselves to the drinks package here on Cunard. It is most definitely not the cheapest of drinks packages. However, on Queen Anne, we found it to be really good value. A glass of wine costs around about $15 with service charge. So you only really need around about 4 of them a day to make up your drinks package.
And also remember, this is a New Year's Eve cruise, so I'm sure we'll be making the most of that in a few days' time. After we finished our meal in the Golden Lion, we did have a little wander around the ship, trying to get ourselves a little bit familiar with the layout, and Queen Victoria is quite an easy ship to get used to, although we still can't work out whether we're port or starboard, can we?
No, it's a little bit disorientated, but we'll get used to it, we will.
Yeah. As we walked around the ship, we decided to pop into the Commodore Club, and we found a lovely seat right at the window side.
Commodore Club is a beautiful venue right at the front of the ship with windows surrounding the entire venue. Gives some spectacular views out to sea, and yeah, it's just a beautiful little venue, tastefully decorated, comfortable, and it's nice and cozy.
Once again, it wasn't too busy in here, and as it was embarkation day, we decided to treat ourselves to another couple of drinks. So I went for a celebration prosecco,
and I just went for a lovely glass of Velvet Devil red wine, which they do serve here on board.
Now we spent a bit of time in there chatting and enjoying our drinks and just enjoying watching people arrive for their first day of the cruise.
One thing we really wanted to do before we got on the cruise was book one of the boxes in the theatre for a production show during this cruise. So after our drink in the Commodore Club, we headed down to reception to book one.
Now this is an experience and we will show you all that in our upcoming video, but for now we managed to book one at the purser's desk, as it is called here on Cunard.
Reception.
And it does come at a cost.
We'll let you know if we think it's value for money after we've experienced it. We've booked ourselves in for tomorrow, which is a formal night. It's now going to be our day in Bruges. So it was initially on the itinerary supposed to be a sea day, but because of the bad weather that's come in, as we mentioned earlier, the itinerary has changed and pretty much all of our port days have just moved forward by one.
After we'd been to the purser's desk, we then headed for a little look around the ship some more, passing through the Queen's Room, which we were really impressed with. We like the Queen's Room here. It is a 2-tier Queen's Room. The dance floor is a lovely rectangular shape and the band has plenty of space to play.
It's a beautiful venue and I can't wait to go down there and see some live dancing with the band because I think it'll be a fantastic experience.
Also, we passed through places like the Winter Garden, which is kind of an indoor-outdoor venue on board Queen Anne, just outside of the pool deck. The temperature is probably similar to that on the pool deck itself. It is quite cold in there.
Freezing.
They've got a number of patio heaters dotted around the venue, but if you're not sat under one, it doesn't really do the trick for you, does it?
It is very, very cold in there, and when we got there was nobody in there because too cold to sit there and have a drink.
Yeah. Now the pool area looked really nice and the pool itself did look warm. How did we know that? Because there was steam rising out of it, so it must have been warm in there. But still, I think it'd be a challenge for me and you if we were to go for a dip in the middle of December.
No chance.
It probably were not even brave enough to brave the hot tubs, are we?
No.
So we shall see. And then following on from the pool deck, we did spot that the spa was available to have a look into, so we did take up a spa tour. Within the spa, they do have a full list of treatments that are available to you. You can pre-book those at the spa reception. There is also a thermal area which you can take advantage of with a day or weekly pass.
The gym was really impressive, forward-facing views, perfect for those that enjoy a little bit of a workout while they're on a cruise.
But for us, we won't be in there working out, so we think it's a waste of venue. You should put that in the bottom of the ship. Spoil the view.
After exploring, we'd worked up a thirst. So we headed back to the Commodore Club and got ourselves a table. By now, most passengers had embarked the ship and the Commodore Club was very busy. There is a sign on the door as you walk in saying smart attire must be worn from 6 p.m. and this was around about 5:15. It took us a while to get served, around about 20 minutes, because either they didn't see us or they were just so busy. It then took another 15 minutes for that drink to arrive. So all in all, from entering the venue to getting a drink, it was around about 35 minutes.
Yeah, no, it was only supposed to be a quick drink because we were aware from 6 p.m. the dress code does change in the Commodore Club and it then becomes a bit more formal.
So we grabbed our drink, had a couple of mouthfuls, took it with us to our cabin to get ready for our first evening on board Queen Victoria.
We got ready really in record time and we were out the cabin around 6:45.
For this cruise, we've been assigned freedom dining, which we think is fantastic because we do like to go for dinner around about 7 o'clock, and with fixed time dining, that just sits right in the middle of those two times. We found out we had freedom dining because a little card was left in our room. It just means that we can go to the Britannia Restaurant on deck 2 during opening times whenever we want to sit and dine and have something to eat.
Yes, and tonight, as we just said, that was 6:45, which we did think was a good move because if you leave on the hour, it tends to be busier. So we got to the Britannia dining room on deck 2 and found out there was no queue at all. We virtually walked straight to the maitre d' at the front desk, asked him for a table of 2, and he quite gladly obliged. We were quickly shown to a fantastic table near the back of the Britannia dining room, not too far from a window. Even though we were on a table for 2, we were seated pretty close to another couple, but we didn't mind because we quickly got chatting to them.
However, if you were looking for an intimate table for 2 experience, you'd be hard pushed in that restaurant because the tables are literally centimetres apart.
Now, it wasn't long before a sommelier came over and took our drinks order. We both went for a glass of Velvet Devil.
The waiter also came over with some beautiful fresh bread rolls and the menu, which we were a little bit shocked at because it was practically identical to our first dining experience on Queen Anne.
Yeah, and that was a memorable experience for us. And surprise, surprise, we went for pretty much the similar options. Now, to start, I went for the potato, truffle and cheese soup. It was a fantastic soup. Now, there was also a clear vegetable soup option on the menu and I thought my choice was definitely the better out of the 2. I also had a white bread roll to go with it.
For my starter, I went for the Asian-inspired carrot tartare with hummus. And yeah, it was really tasty, quite refreshing, and I definitely have it again.
Then for my salad course, I went for a standard Caesar salad. It was very tasty. The dressing was lovely. Can't go wrong with a Caesar Caesar salad, really.
And I went for the green salad with a honey mustard dressing. I did ask if I could have the Caesar salad, but without the anchovies, to which the waiter told me that it's mixed in and he'd have to check. And he came back and he said, no, you can't have it without anchovies.
Which is quite strange because on our Queen Anne cruise, we did. So I don't know what's happened there. Obviously a difference between the ships, isn't there?
The green salad was, again, really refreshing. I did enjoy it.
Then for my main, I went for the poisson, which is basically a very small chicken along with some polenta fries. Now the chicken was super tasty. It was cooked with lots of flavour and the polenta fries went down a treat.
And I went for the pork tenderloin that came with a little bit of bacon mash, gravy. Really enjoyed it. The pork tenderloin was a little bit tough, but it was delicious and there was plenty on the plate.
Then for our dessert, we didn't actually go for one option each. We went for one option each plus something in the middle to share, which was the cheese. Now I went for the chocolate marquise. The chocolate was dense and rich. It was very tasty.
And I went for the warm cherry tart. Came with a little bit of sauce or custard. And yeah, really enjoyed it. I'd definitely have it again.
Then of course there was the cheese plate, although we would say that it was a little bit short on crackers. And unusually, instead of being grapes on the cheese plate, there was actually strawberry, which is quite unusual.
Overall, really good dining experience. No hanging about, no waiting, straight in there. The food came promptly. We had some really nice dinner guests that were sat next to us.
We were offered coffees at the end of our meal, but we politely declined because we had heard rumours going through the restaurant that there was huge queues waiting to get in by this time, and we couldn't believe it because we walked straight in, as we said earlier. But as we were leaving the restaurant, we did notice there was a lengthy queue, pretty much spanning the whole corridor down towards the Britannia Restaurant. It did look like it would be a long wait.
Unfortunately, I think with the delayed embarkation, that had a knock-on effect. The queues to enter were huge and lots of people were stood there and they were not happy at all.
Luckily for us, we did not have to deal with any of that, and we quickly headed across the ship and through to the Queen's room, because we had noticed on the daily programme that you receive in your cabin each night that there was an 80s theme night in the Queen's room tonight. Now just as we arrived, there was an announcement to say that dancing on this cruise was taking place up in the yacht club, and the Queen's room did seem to be more of a party venue, and as soon as the band got playing with the 80s songs, people were up and dancing.
It was very busy in the Queen's room. We did have to walk around a couple of times just to find a nice seat, but we managed to get one not far from the dance floor, and the band performed the songs beautifully. Everybody was having a nice time. A number of the Cunard entertainment team were up on the dance floor trying to encourage everybody up. Really a great positive atmosphere, and the music was fantastic too.
Also, there was great service. We once again had a couple of drinks while we were sat there watching them dancing. About 45 minutes was the 80s set, which was part one of 2 sets, and we thoroughly enjoyed.
After the live music and dancing in the Queen's room, we then headed to the theatre for tonight's show. We did mention earlier on that we'd booked a box for an evening show. They've got a number of boxes that are available that you can pre-book. However, if nobody books those boxes and the show starts, anybody is allowed to sit in them. And we thought we'd try our luck and see if we could find a free box.
And luckily for us, there was just one box left empty and we sat in it. Now, perhaps this was a bad choice because tonight's show was comedian Mickey Zaney. Now, although it does say he is a renowned comedian and very popular, the comedy wasn't really for us, and I don't think he was getting the best reaction from the audience either. Beware, if you are late walking into a comedian, you do normally get picked on, and that was exactly what happened many times during this performance. In fact, we probably just about stuck the performance out, but it wasn't the best thing we have seen.
We really did enjoy the box experience. You're elevated across the main theatre, and it does give you some great views, and we're really looking forward to tomorrow night actually.
And we felt a little bit safer from being picked on from the comedian as well.
That's true. After the show then, we headed to the Queen's room once again because we'd seen on the daily programme that there was going to be a silent disco.
Now, we had arrived right at the start of the silent disco and it was very quiet in the Queen's room at that time.
We did grab a pair of headphones and start to take part, but we did feel a little bit out of place.
So instead we headed up once again. What is this, the fourth time we've been tonight?
We do love Commodore Club, those forward facing views. It's a beautiful lounge. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Now this time in the Commodore's Club there was entertainment on. It was a lovely jazz band and we sat there and enjoyed that fantastic jazz music.
It was very busy in the Commodore's Club. We did manage to get some great seats towards the front and we ordered ourselves a couple of cocktails. As I said earlier, there are no menus on the tables, so if you do want a drinks menu you have to ask for it. However, it just sort of slows the whole process of ordering a drink. But what you can do is use the myvoyage.cunard website/app. You can see your onboard spend, the daily planners on there, as well as all of the menus for the bars. So that's the easiest way to do it. And on there I spotted a QE2 cocktail that's in the drinks package that we've never tried, so I thought, go on, we're gonna have that.
We did, and we definitely enjoyed them, but they were quite potent. They definitely were strong.
Very strong. After our drink in the Commodore Club, I had the genius idea of checking out the late night snacks in the buffet, just to see what it's like, of course, for educational purposes.
Dom actually said after his 5-course dinner that he was hungry just a few hours later, so of course into the buffet we went.
We were a little bit disappointed with the offerings. They were very limited. There was a few hot items there, a couple of dried out sandwiches, but it wasn't the greatest of late night snacks, if we're honest.
So we'll see if that changes throughout the cruise and if the food does get a little bit better.
We had a few little snacks, nothing too major. There was a little bit of chicken Kiev there, as well as some cheese and crackers, just to keep us going.
Then after our quick stop off at the buffet, we then headed to the Yacht Club for our final drink.
So the Yacht Club is the late night venue here on Queen Victoria. It is like a little mini disco. It was very busy in there. We had to sit at the bar.
A lovely little venue, looks very nice during the day and it performs well as a nightclub during the night. And yeah, the great atmosphere in there. I had a Cosmo to finish the night off.
I had one gin and tonic. I'd had enough by then. We chatted to a number of passengers.
And then it was time for bed.
Because we've got a busy day in Bruges tomorrow.
So find out what we get up to in Bruges tomorrow and then formal night in the evening, as well as that all-important theatre box experience in our next video.
Thanks for watching our embarkation of Queen Victoria. If you've got any comments or questions, just pop them in the box below and we'll get back to you. If you'd like to support us in creating future content and receiving exclusive benefits, we're also available on Patreon and through YouTube channel memberships.
Thanks for watching.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. We've got lots more content available on our YouTube channel, so press that subscribe button. If you're interested in receiving daily updates, we're available on most social media platforms. Just search for Tom and Dom Travel.